I'm not going to lie to you, people. I just saw something that made me laugh so hard my side hurt. Hopefully you're having a good evening. I am Tommy, and you are on the Love Boat. Hey, Diane. Good to see you. Timothy Glass, what's happening? You say. First time checking out the Love Boat. Well, we're glad you're here. Sandy Wandy, good to see you. Taylor Miller, what's happening? Brock Bandy. Doing all right? Kristen Melinda's here. I am in pain. I'm not going to lie to you, people. I got to wait about 6 more days to get this thing extracted. Kevin Hawthorne, Lakeland, Florida. Glad you're here, brother. Hey, Ashley G. And I'm getting this number going on in my tooth. But I wasn't going to cancel this show, and I'll tell you why. We talk a lot about sobriety, obviously, right? Montgomery Angel, good to see you. Hello. We talk a lot about getting sober, and I talk a lot about how it is kind of evolved, right? Recovery and sobriety have changed over the years. And we now have a lot of tools in the arsenal to try to help people get sober that we didn't have a couple of decades ago. And one of those is used specifically, well, several, but are used specifically for opioid dependency, which is the number one killer in the United States today. The number one cause of death in the US is drug overdoses, specifically fentanyl and a drug called nitazines, depending on how you pronounce it. And I had been talking about this on a show recently, and somebody, hey, Chicken Cherry Cola, somebody sent me an email, and they were yelling at me, which is nothing new, but they were upset because all you're doing is trading one drug for another. Skimble Shanks, good morning. Good to have you here. You're trading one drug for another. And I've never, ever argued that point, right? Everybody paying attention? Because my tooth hurts. I don't know how long I can do this. Pay attention. Yeah, you're trading one drug for another, and it's a hell of a trade. You, honestly, if you can't see that, grab a tack hammer and whack yourself in the forehead with it. So there's a drug on the market that you can buy almost anywhere in the US. And statistically speaking, you got about a 1 in 10 chance that the pill you take is going to have more than 2 milligrams of the active ingredient, which is fentanyl, or a stronger version of something very similar, iso or phytonitazines. But either way, 1 out of 10, if you take the entire thing, it's going to take you off of the globe. I promise you, anything you're trading that doesn't run that risk is a good trade. But on top of that, what makes these drugs like Suboxone, like Sublocade, what makes these drugs fantastic is not just that it takes the overdose factor away. It's that it takes away the need for you to come up with money to go out and get your dope. I was a thief. The way I came up with the money that I needed every single day in order to fix, I did by stealing. Some people sell themselves. Some people are cons. Some people, but they all come up with a way that they have to on a daily basis come up with $50, $100, whatever the case may be, 700. But they got to come up with that every day. Once that's off the table, that's the trade. That's the magic trade. Now you take a substance first thing in the morning that you put under your tongue, or once a month you get a shot in your stomach like you're a diabetic. And for the rest of that month or the rest of that day, if you're taking Suboxone, you have no fear of getting sick. Make no mistake, what is killing these people every day is the fear that they're going to have to go through a kind of sickness that unless you have felt, there's no way for me to do justice trying to explain this to you. I can't explain dope sick to somebody that has never felt it. I can't. I mean, there have been a lot of people over the years that have said some really crafty things to describe it. Like your skeleton wants to escape from your body, right? The bones literally want to pull through so that they can escape. And while that's going on, there's a voice in your head that says, you can make this stop. You can make this stop. You don't have to deal with this pain. You can make this stop. And it just keeps getting louder and louder and louder. And if you're one of the voices who are telling people, come on, man, you're just trading one drug for another, next time, skip all that BS. And just say to them, keep doing what you're doing until it kills you. Get it? Tell them to keep shooting or keep snorting or keep swallowing that stuff until it kills you. Because if you're going to bag on the antidote, if you're going to bag on the only shot that most people have, especially if the mu receptor is coated with fentanyl, heroin was a bitch, but it's a walk in the street compared to fentanyl. Sadly, people in the rehabilitation community look back at the heroin days as the good old days. Now the drug out there It can take up to 14 doses of Narcan to bring you back from the overdose. Now, if you understand what Narcan does, you put it in the body and it binds all of that stuff up. It removes it from the receptors. And for about 30 minutes, you're completely clean. See, with heroin, you'd have been completely clean all the way. But with fentanyl, you literally have to keep giving the person Narcan, because every 30 minutes when the Narcan wears off, there's still enough of that poison in there to OD you again. This is not your dad's opiate. The stuff that's on the street, and it's not alpha fentanyl either. Don't get it messed up. It's not the stuff that's built in pharmaceuticals and comes in patches or lollipops or any other way that they can deliver that stuff into your body. This is an analog of fentanyl. It's a knockoff. No two batches are exactly the same, but they're ugly. I promise you that. The number of people who I called friend, who I've buried on this garbage, makes me arch my back a little bit when the people go, "You're not really sober. You just traded one drug for another." It's a hell of a trade. It's Nolan Ryan for Jim Fregosi. This is a trade that you can be really happy about because it's going to clarify your life. It's going to give you an opportunity to rebuild, right? Get a job. Junkies can't keep jobs because they have a full-time job. They have a 40-hour-a-week job trying to come up with the money that they need to keep from getting sick. Once you eliminate that job, they can start thinking about things like family and God and all kinds of other things. But that's not a reality. Try to talk to somebody about their higher power or about spiritual belief or about meditation or journaling when all they need is to stick a needle in their arm and make the sickness go away. They're not listening to you. Trust me. It's the bane of my existence. And I said to my brother, I said, "Listen, my jaw's killing me. I'm not going to do a show tonight. But then I got this email. I'm doing a disservice, according to this person, by not explaining to people that that's not really sober. Well, with all due respect, you're an asshat. If you have a fentanyl habit, I'm telling you right now, Suboxone's not going to get you high. You're not going to feel it. What you're going to notice is you don't get sick. And I got a hell of a lot of experience in this. I mean, over 130 people that I have personally assisted one-on-one with getting onto these substances. And I can't tell you how many times somebody will say, "I took it. It's not doing anything." Probably 7 out of 10 people, this is the exact same script. I go, "It's not doing a thing. It's not doing a thing." How long would you take it? 10, 15 minutes. Okay, give it another 40. Takes a while to get into your system. Give it about 40 more minutes. Then they'll call me back. Still not doing anything. It's not. No. I'm not feeling a thing, Tommy. Nothing. And then I go, "Are you feeling sick?" And there's a pause, like the one you just heard, to the point where it's almost weird. And they go, "No." Well, there you go. There's the magic. It's just not going to let you get sick. You're not going to have that receptor screaming, "You can make this stop," over and over again in your ear, forcing you to go out and get a fix. And the beautiful thing is it doesn't play well with others. So once you start to coach your receptors with this, you can't really do the one from column A and one from column B. Like, "I'm on this stuff, but I think I'll do a little bit more fent," because it can throw you into something called precipitate withdrawal. And you'll only do that once, I promise. That's a mistake you will make just once, because it is going to be the worst withdrawal you ever felt in your life. But if this isn't something that's really in your wheelhouse, if this isn't something that you really understand, then do what my brother just did. Right? Stay in your own lane. Honest to God, what does anybody else's sobriety has to do with you? It's got something to do with me, right? Because this is all I do all day. But what does it have to do with anybody else? I love it when somebody says he's not really sober. You're not really my friend. You're not really smart enough to get into this conversation. And by the way, this goes for a whole host of other things too. But this one in particular pisses me off because I just had to read this email. Yeah, he was smoking crack. Now he smokes a joint a day. He's not really sober. Well, he made a really good trade. If you're going to trade one drug for another, that's a pretty good trade. If you were trading weed for crack, I might be coming at you slightly differently. They call it California sober. I'm fine with that. When I started this channel, I was a militant, say no, you can't have anything in your system kind of guy. And then I kind of saw how this worked. And harm reduction started to make a hell of a lot more sense to me. Hooray for harm reduction. If you're listening to the sound of my voice and you have to take a street drug every 8 hours to keep from getting sick, have I got a trade for you? Straight up, have I got a trade for you? You got a $300 a day habit? How about $8 a day, $7 a day? You got insurance? It might not cost you squat. That's a hell of a trade. And it's going to put the mu receptor to bed. It's going to shut up the mu receptor. Think of it like spray paint. It gets there and spray paints the mu receptor so that your brain goes, oh, we just fixed. For the next 14 hours, your brain thinks you just fixed. Therefore, it doesn't send that impulse to make your knees hurt, make your Achilles tendon ache, give you a headache, whatever button it pushes for you, because that button will be different for you than it is for me. I've never met anybody, and I use the word junkie because that's what I was, but I've never met anybody that was a junkie like I was that didn't have a pain problem. Never met one, not one. Psychosomatic pain, right? People go, well, that's not real pain. It's the exact same chemical process. The only difference is there's no mechanism to cause it, but it is the exact same pain, I promise. Once the receptor is painted, you're not going to feel that pain anymore. Once buprenorphine goes in there and does its thing, you're not going to feel that desire anymore. That is a hell of a trade. Give it a try. Honestly, what do you got to lose? I work at a place with 12 employees. One just got back from a friend's funeral. Another was telling her about a family member dying recently. Both were from fentanyl. And the sad thing is this. Renee B., there's a really decent chance that somebody talked to that person about getting onto medical assisted treatment. And then somebody else said to him, oh, that stuff's poison, man. That's just the government dealing you dope. By the way, it doesn't come from the government. I don't know where everybody comes up with that. But that is one of the arguments. That's just government dope dealing. It's not. It's a doctor that writes the prescription for it usually. But it beats the hell out of the stuff that the people are on now. Trust me, it's a good friggin' trade. Here's the deal. They feel they busted their ass to cold turkey and white knuckle it. Harm reduction people don't have to do that. So misery loves company. Their sober beats your sober. Boy, there's the comment, isn't it? It's exactly right. And what's even worse, Tommy Bird, is the people that didn't. The people that were never addicted to that. They're just pissed off that you stole from people, that you lied to people, that everything that came out of your mouth wasn't honest, that you weren't strong enough, that you didn't love your family enough to quit. They would never say to a diabetic, I can't believe you don't love me enough to process sugar correctly in your body. Seriously, insulin boy. Can't handle it? You're a wimp. They wouldn't say it to somebody with lupus. The only one they're ever going to do it to is this particular disease because our symptoms are ugly as sin, right? Our symptoms are really, really ugly. And that there's something real to that. But make no mistake, staying in your own lane is a hell of a piece of advice. Ibogaine is new out there for recovery similar to Narcan. Do you know anything about it yet? We're researching it for a friend. It's not new. It comes from the iboga plant. It's getting traction now in the US. You're hearing a lot more about it, but Ibogaine's been around for a really long time. It does not do what Narcan does. It acts more like magic mushrooms or LSD than it does like anything else. You take Ibogaine and you go on a dissociative high. People call it tripping, right? And you trip your you-know-what's off for probably 8 to 12 hours. And a lot of people, allegedly, as many as 8 out of 10, will say that when the trip is over, they don't experience dope sick and they never have a desire to use again. Now, I will tell you, I left the country and I did Ibogaine. I did it in another country in hopes of quitting. And I didn't feel like using dope for about 80 days, maybe 90. But then I was right back on it. It didn't do for me what it does for other people. Renee B says mental illness also gets the same kind of stigma, the same judgment. And that's a fact. It really does. Also not fair. My daughter OD'd 2 nights in a row. Thanks to a police officer saw her and gave her Narcan. Policeman is a blessing. Thank God for every day. I get to spend with her now sober. Wow, man. Wow. That is incredible. It really is. Thank God, huh? Shibble Shank says, without the migraine injections I had yesterday, I'd still be in a hospital on a fentanyl drip. It's so nasty. I'd rather have the injections twice a month than fentanyl every week in a hospital. Amen. Amen. Fentanyl's nasty. It is. It's a nasty drug. The morphine molecule in general, for 8 out of 10 people on planet Earth, it's a miracle. When you're in pain, you take it and the pain goes away. Right? There's a reason we have an MU receptor in our body. I promise. And I have nothing against the 8 out of 10 people that can use this responsibly. If you have a prescription for pain meds and you do it exactly how it's written on the outside of the bottle, ignore everything I'm saying. I'm not talking to you. If you get that same prescription from your doctor and 7 days into the script, you're out and trying to buy stuff on the street, you need help. I say if you cannot say something uplifting or encouraging to someone who is at their lowest, then you need to just be quiet. We need to lift people up, not tear them down further. Amen. Especially if this isn't in your wheelhouse, right? You hear people say, well, you're just trading one drug for another. What opiate were you addicted to? Right? What were you doing? Was it pills? Were you shooting dope? What was the opiate you were addicted to? If their answer comes back, I'm not addicted, I wasn't addicted to anything, I got an idea. Shut your cake hole. Honest to God. I'm not going to give a person advice on diabetes. I don't know, I don't have it. It's not something I'm going to speak to because I can't speak to it intelligently. I could read a damn book on it. But that's a little bit different. This is a very, very ugly disease. And if you don't believe it, it's the #1 cause of death in this country, right? In the US of A, it's the #1 cause of death. If that doesn't get your attention, what's gonna? I mean, it's almost, legitimately, what could be a bad trade if this kills more people than cancer? What are you trading it for that would be a bad idea? Get back to me on that one. You could take all day long to think about that and not come up with something. There isn't a bad trade. There really is nothing on the market stronger than fentanyl or the nitazines, the nitazines. And if you say carfentanil, I promise no one's doing carfentanil. It's made to knock down elephants. If you accidentally touch the stuff, it's going to kill you. And I'm not being funny. It can go through your skin and within seconds hit every receptor in your body and dump everything you got in there so fast that respiratory failure will happen within minutes. They like to talk about the fact that carfentanil is hitting the streets. Imagine taking a grain of salt and trying to throw that into 4 ounces of cut. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that someone's going to get all of that. One person's going to get all of that, and the rest of the people are going to get nothing, which means it's not a very effective street drug. It just isn't. I say if you cannot say something up, yeah, there we go. I read that one. Fentanyl has become an abused drug. I had fentanyl patches years ago for pain before I had a disc replaced in my spine. What you were doing, technically, is alpha fentanyl, and it is a very, very different substance than the stuff that's on the street. Alpha fentanyl is a great painkiller. It's stable to beat hell. It does exactly what it's supposed to, and the patches were there by design because it is such a strong opioid that you can deliver it through a patch over 72 hours and really get the job done. And if you're dying of cancer or you're in hospice or you're really going, this is a great drug. It's not a good street drug. It really is not a good street drug. Tommy, I love your passion for helping people and folding up asshats. You know, honestly, I'm telling you, I'm throbbing. But to not do this show tonight, God forbid the person that sent me this email talks to 3 or 4 more people between now and the time I get a chance to talk to you. Tommy, folks have to look out for gray death. Cops told my friend that gray death is considered stronger than fentanyl because it often contains carfentanil, which is 100 times more potent. Here's what's really happening on this, because I promise you, there's not carfentanil hitting the street. I promise you there's not. What's happening is, at about 30 times the strength of fentanyl, you have nitazines or nitazines, and it's one of the easiest opioids to make. Like methamphetamine, you can make crystal meth and really make a knockoff version of it using what's under your sink. If you've got that kind of a chemistry background, making iso or phytonidazines is like that. And it was discovered in the 50s, and they didn't use it because it's too damn strong. And it's very, very difficult to make without making it deadly. So it never really caught on for use in the medical community. But now that so much of the country is addicted to opioids, it has made a comeback. And I did a show on it. When I did a show on it, there had been one bust in the United States of America where they found nits, which is what they call it, or they also call it phyto. But there was only one state that they had ever busted it in, and that state was Utah. I did a show on it. No one had ever heard of it. I promise you can go back and look at it and read all the comments. No one knew what I was talking about. Now, all 50 states, they have found this substance mixed in with other things like xylazine to create tranq. Because if you have a drug that's 30 times stronger than fentanyl, you really need to add something else to it, right? You really need to add what's basically a benzodiazepine and put as much of that in there as you can, so that if it's not 100% sure that this stuff's going to kill you, well, we're going to up their chances by giving you yet another respiratory depressant in the same pill. Can't convince me this stuff is not being delivered to this country to kill people. Right? It's pretty much business 101. If you kill your customers, they don't buy more. Tommy Bird says, I remember that show, Tommy. Yes, it was a long time ago now. It was probably 3 years ago that we first started talking about iso and phyto. And the reason it's hitting the streets is because it's cheaper to make than fent. Now, most people assume they're doing fentanyl. But if the gray death, that's probably what they're looking at. Super resistant to Narcan. One of the other reasons, again, think logically. You got something that is, so you take, depending on who you believe, they'll tell you that fentanyl is 40 times stronger than heroin. And now you got something that's 30 times stronger than that. Why would you mix something else in? Huh? Because that something else that you're mixing in will not respond to Narcan. You see it? Get it? Now you got a second substance in there that is already another respiratory depressant. And God forbid, you got something to drink. Now you got 3 respiratory depressants in your system at the same time. And what do you come up with? The number 1 cause of death in the United States of America from the ages of 18 to 55. Drug overdose. It's not an accident. And the saddest part is, it's like the Epstein victims. It's like every time this is a recurring theme that we keep coming back to, and it is, we are disposable. We are the wretched refuse that no one cares if they find us dead. Just junkies, right? Who cares? People can't even control their drug habits. They're weak. Who cares if they die? Funny thing is, it's starting to touch everybody's life. You can't talk to anybody, like Renee B was just talking about. You can't talk to anybody now that hasn't lost somebody to this war. We've lost more people to this epidemic than we have to all of our wars. That's frightening. And they say they're making inroads. I'm not sure. You know what? I love that. I do too. It's painful, isn't it? This sucks. And if you're thinking to yourself, how can I help? Well, you can reach out to politicians and give them hell. That helps. But more importantly, don't ever sit by and let somebody say, oh, well, those people aren't sober. They're trading one drug for another. Yeah, spend 3 or 4 weeks addicted to fentanyl. And then tell me that Suboxone, which doesn't get you high, is a bad idea. Ashley G says, we all know people that have overdosed. Yeah, you can go back and watch my greatest hits. If I show up here with a tie on, it's because somebody that we know well, who's in the chat all the time, has overdosed and died. And I put ties on way too often. We've lost so many people to this. People that I loved and cared about. And they're not junkies. They're not trash. They're human beings. They were born with the same potential as the president, right? Or the Secretary of State or anybody else. Not everyone who takes doctor-prescribed pain medicine does not mean you are or will become an addict. Damn right. You can become dependent and not be an addict. It's really kind of a dicey and a weird subject. But since now, literally, this pain is starting to crawl into my right eye, I'm going to leave you with this. If you are struggling with opioid dependency, if you're buying dope on the street, the question isn't when, right? Or if, it's when. It's going to kill you eventually. It's going to, because they're spiking about 1 out of 10 pills with enough fentanyl to kill you. And you go, well, I break it in half, right? That way, if you got a 2 milligram pill, you're only going to do 1 milligram. It isn't going to kill you. That makes perfect sense. But what if the spiked pill has 12 milligrams of fentanyl in it? What if it's a hot spot in the cut before they press the pill? What if you got 16 milligrams in there? Yeah, you can break that puppy in half. It's not going to do you a whole hell of a lot of good, is it? Don't put your life on the roulette wheel. 38 spots on the roulette wheel, right? They say a 1 in 10 chance. That's a frightening thing, isn't it? Think about it. Don't do this. If the reason you're continuing to use dope is because you're afraid of getting dope sick, I'm here to tell you, you can get off of this crap without getting dope sick. You hear that? Here's a reality check. My son is heading off to his freshman year of college. On almost every mom's dorm room essentials list is Narcan. God help us. And you know what's really horrific? I hope that on that list, mom put down 15 to 16 doses, because if what these people are using are nitazines, ISO or Phyto, or if they're using fentanyl, one spray of Narcan isn't going to do it. In the old days, you would draw it up in a syringe and you'd stick it in the shoulder. And if that didn't do it, you'd go to the other shoulder. And you would never get to a butt cheek, because they would go shoulder, shoulder, butt, butt. No one ever had to take 3 shots. I don't care how much you OD'd on. But they're talking about 14, 15 doses of Narcan to bring somebody back. And then oftentimes they die again on the way to the hospital because they don't have enough Narcan to bring them back when 20 minutes later they OD again off of the first batch of dope they took. It's terrifying. Tommy, after my spinal fusion, they had me on 750 milligrams of hydrocodone 3 daily. I began to notice that if I took 3 the next day, I had to take 4 to relieve pain. So I finally just stopped. Yeah, hydrocodone comes in a bunch of different name brands. Vicodin is probably the one that most people are aware of. In the name brand version, the 750s or the 7.5s are green, like green dots on a white pill, the speckled trouts. That's what the junkies used to call those. The blue ones are the extra strength. They would be the 10 milligrams or the 1,000 milligram. It's all dope in a pill. It's just dope in a pill. It's the morphine molecule. You can dress that thing up any way you want. You can snort it, smoke it, shoot it, whatever. It's the morphine molecule. It's going to get into your body. It's going to attach to the MU receptor, and it's going to release into your body that which kills pain. But it's a dangerous, dangerous road to go down. If you're listening to the sound of my voice and you can't quit because you feel like Loratab is another big one. Tara Jackson says pink or green specks or Loratab. If Vicodin, Loratab, they're all versions of the same thing. Norco, they're all just a synthetic opioid that's the low end of the spectrum. As far as they go, probably about the safest opioid that they give out to people. How the heck do we cut the source of the problem at the root? Well, you know what? It depends on what you believe that to be. There are a lot of people that believe that you can win the war on drugs from the supply side of it, right? If we could just stop the people from bringing it in here, we'd be fine. The truth is you have to beat it at the demand side. If the demand for these substances stops, then it doesn't matter how much of it they bring across the border because no one will buy it. But we're not doing a damn good job at treating this like a disease. And if you treat it like leprosy, or you treat it like a defect in character, then people aren't going to come forward and say, hey, I need help. This needs to be as normalized and as accepted as a disease as diabetes. Because once we start treating it that way, you watch. If we start to try to beat this from the demand side, then we got a shot of actually winning the war on drugs. But we're reactive. We're not proactive. We're passing a law right now, just passed, the Fentanyl Act. And you know what it's going to do? It's going to lock up crap loads of drug users. It's not going to get anybody selling it. My doctor told me that stuff doesn't take away the pain. It just makes you not care you're hurting. Yeah, I've heard that too. Medically, there's just not, that doesn't really, it takes away pain. The problem is that it takes away all pain. It takes away physical pain. It takes away spiritual pain, and it takes away emotional pain. And as the physical pain heals, because that always happens, then the drug starts to work on the pain that you can't see. The stuff that you should be journaling to get rid of. The stuff you should be talking to therapists to get rid of. Building an intimate relationship with yourself through journaling. Self-discovery, peeling the onion, whatever you want to call it. It'll treat pain. Unfortunately, it'll treat all pain. You don't need spiritual pain treated. You need to fix that yourself. All right? For real. Junkies call it fixing. There's a reason for that. It's not an accident. Because in the mind of somebody like me, it fixes every problem in your life. Of course it doesn't. It makes you not give a shit about the problems of your life. Physical pain? Oh, it'll knock that out. It'll just make you not care about the other ones. The rent's still going to come due. You just won't care. Your best friend just overdosed and died, but you don't have enough emotion left to give a shit. It's terrifying. It's the most insidious substance on planet Earth. It really is. And if you're suffering with that, reach out. Please send an email. We can get you resources. We can send you in the right direction. But this is not something you need to die on because you don't want to get sick. You don't have to get sick. It's 2025. You don't need to white knuckle this. You don't need to vomit all over yourself and do all of that. There is a better way. And if you reach out to me, I promise you we can get you on the path to that better way. People, I'm going to go chew up 2 aspirin. I'm going to put a little bit of clove back there in a tea bag. We got about 5 more days after tonight that I got to get through before they can yank this thing out of my mouth. I've got a tooth that's just absolutely killing me. But just on the outside chance that the wrong asshat was going to talk to the wrong person tonight, please don't listen to people. Don't. Honestly, this substance, buprenorphine, Suboxone, it saved more people than you can wrap your brain around. I'm one of them. If I sound a little angry or a little passionate, it's because without it, I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you. It saved my life in a really big way. And every day it's saving more people's lives. If you're going to trade one drug for another, have Suboxone be the drug that you trade for, or Sublocade, or any of its new iterations, because this stuff really does save people's lives and gives you back dignity. And if you're using and you're waiting in parking lots for 5 hours to have people come and drop you stuff off, you know exactly what I mean by loss of dignity. Reach out. We'll show you how to get it back. Between now and the next time I see you, which is going to be tomorrow morning, where we get together and talk about journaling, and we talk about things that you can actually apply every day to dig your way out of those holes, to start feeling good about yourself again and getting back dignity, right, without chemicals. Between now and the next time I see you, do me a favor, put a little love in your heart. I am Tommy Scoville. This is The Love Boat. We'll see you on the next one. God bless everybody. Good